All right, I guess we're recording. Fantastic. Folks, I'm here. I'm the amazing one, and I'm sitting here with Max G, who today we're going to talk about idiots. So Max's hair looks awesome, well tanned, awesome. His basement looks fantastic, and mine looks like a fucking 3-year-old put it together. So Max, I asked Max to come along. I've talked to Max before. We're going to talk real quick about the Bob Lazar video, this series I did with that lady Melanie, because I've been getting a lot of comments about, what do you know? Hey man, what do you know? And I'm like, shut up, you piece of shit. So Max, what did you think of that guy's story, the Bob Lazar story? The guy, what did you think of him first off? And I try
first off, great to be here.
All right, you're welcome.
Good to be here. And then as far as Bob Lazar, is his story in general or your coverage of it? I'm sorry, just
his story. I want you to first go, and I want you to try and be like, I know we're friends, okay, even though we've never hung out or slept together or anything like that, but sure. You know, we live far away from each other. So I just want your true, like, how you really feel, because for me, I think the guy's a con artist, okay? And I don't say it because I just hate the guy or there's some vendetta against him. I just look at the evidence that's presented, and I just don't. I go by the George Costanza. You know, when I watch George Costanza, where he goes, "It's only a lie if you believe it's a lie." You know, so sure. I don't believe, like, Max. I could sit there and tell you, Max, you know, I got a Ferrari, and you're like, okay, great. Could I see it? Well, yeah, it's in my garage. Yeah, but could I see it? Okay. Okay. And then we go to my garage. There's a Ferrari. You would want to know, okay, great. You got a Ferrari. Fantastic. Wow. Where's the pink slip to say it's yours? Like, did you rent it? Like what? So, you know what I mean? Like, I do not, I'm one of those guys. I'm not a very big, like, you know, I don't know. I'm agnostic, I guess. But for me, the guy that always stuck out for me in the Bible, that I always thought, yes, I agree with him the most, was doubting Thomas, right? So when Thomas saw Jesus, and Jesus said, you know, I'm here, and yeah, this is just an example, folks. So Thomas didn't believe that it was Jesus, because he said, I saw you got crucified, and I saw the Roman soldier, you know, whatever, he killed you, you know, and here you are standing here saying you're Jesus. And he said, well, you know, Jesus said, put your, you know, you could put your fingers in my wounds, and you could put your fingers in, you know, the side, in my side where the Roman soldier nailed me with his sword. So to me, he had to not only see it, he had to feel it. He had to actually, you know, it's like me telling you some amazing story. You're like, hey, dude, that's fantastic, but I would love some proof, you know? So what? Okay. So anyways, I'm blabbering as usual. What did you think of the guy?
A little bit. I thought the guy's story seemed super credible. I thought he came off really like this was an experience that happened to him. However, I think it's all bullshit, because this is where me and you kind of differentiate. I don't believe that aliens are anywhere near the Earth, and never have and ever have been. So right off the bat, I'm not believing this guy's story.
Okay, so you're not,
as far as him, no, not a believer.
Okay, so real quick, so you don't even believe that aliens have even come down and checked us out?
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Okay, so when you see, like to me, I believe that there's life out there. Okay,
sure.
I do. Okay, But
Okay.
do I think they're interested in us? No, I don't. I really don't think they care, you know. Or if they do, they watch from a distance or whatever. Or
Hmm.
to me, it makes no sense. Like if they have the power to go from one uh, you know dimension to another one, or like
Sure.
the vast distance to travel to get here, I don't think people understand how far they need to travel. So why would they travel all the way down here just to shove shit up your ass and to you know what I mean? Like do like
Sure.
it's kind of like again, like there a worm on the floor. Are you going to sit there and have a conversation with a worm? I mean, because to me, their aliens would have to be at a different level if they were to travel. They would be a different level.
Correct.
They would be incredibly
They
intelligent.
would be advanced, way
Yes,
more advanced than anything we can even think of.
right,
We're talking millions of years to get from wherever they are to get where we are in a
right,
manned craft.
right. And again, they always sit there and you talk to scientists that say if there is life out there, they would look nothing like us because when they sit there and they go, oh, they're, oh yeah, they're little people
Sure.
with little, little gray guys and whatever. And scientists are like, no, they would look nothing. They would look like an octopus. They could
Sure.
look like
Or a
anything.
bug or nothing that we could even fathom in our heads.
Right. So to me, um, I do believe they've checked us out, but when just out of curiosity, like just to go, okay, what is this? All right, move on. But to sit there and go, yeah, we got 9 ships. Like he said, there were 9 ships, and he worked on these
Yep.
ships. And I'm
Hmm.
like, let me get this straight. So if you're an advanced species and you lose 9 of your vehicles to a bunch of hairless monkeys that are brain dead, wouldn't you want your shit back?
Yes. And if you have the technology to travel through galaxies into other galaxies, and you get here and all of a sudden the ship doesn't work. And another thing about his story that kind of, like you said, these aliens don't look anything like us, or they couldn't, or they're traveling, or his descriptions of the ship are that there's nothing in them and there's all these gravitational things. I don't know any
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, I
physics
know it.
stuff, but there's seats. He goes, yeah, there's seats in there. So what? Like there's like a leather chair for these aliens
They
who
don't.
can man a craft, who can make things float, but they can't make their asses float.
Yeah, well, never mind their ass. They don't even take a shit. I mean, could you imagine
Yeah, exactly.
the pile of alien shit in those things?
There'd
You
just
know
be
what
a
I mean?
ton of shit.
It would be like they'd show up, and it's like the only reason they showed up to Earth was just to dump their shit. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe that's it.
like they could sit around. I bet you their meetings go something like this: we need a bigger ship. You know what I mean? Like it's just absolutely ridiculous. And then um his story, see, to be that where so many guys have been taken out for CIA or whatever. If you work for a government agency and it's a top secret agency, exactly. If you talk too much and you tell these what's going on over there, accidents do happen, and they'll make sure that an accident will happen. So
Sure.
for you're telling me since 1989, oh, and he doesn't want anybody, he wants to be left alone, Max. He wants to be left alone. But there he goes on Joe Rogan's
Of
show.
course.
There he is on a documentary, and he's like, leave me alone, leave me alone. It's like, is the camera here? Here's the camera. Leave
Yeah.
me alone, leave me alone. Oh, how's my hair look? It's like fuck off, Bob. Like honestly.
Has he profited a lot from this story? That's the
Oh,
one thing I don't really know. He
dude,
has.
for sure.
Okay.
He does talks. Like
He does.
he literally goes to a bunch of nerds and they all pay money to listen to him tell this bullshit story. And they all go, no way. And here's the thing, Max. We all want amazing things to happen.
You're the amazing Vito.
Right. But we all want something cool to happen, right? Like something,
Sure.
and if you sat there and said something that, hey, you know, I worked on alien spaceships, and you know what? You're like, oh, wow. But there's no record of him going to any of those schools. Nobody could remember this guy going to this school. He also had his own little what is it? He tried to have a he built a brothel.
Yeah. You know, Melanie was very upset about. Melanie was her name, right? She was very upset about that one.
Yeah. Well, she's just like, well, she did so much homework on this guy because at one time she was a believer. But
okay, I didn't know that.
My understanding was she was a believer, right? So hers is her thing's called military paranormal. So they go out and they check out claims, but she's very smart at finding out like your schooling, your background,
right?
And when things don't start adding up, you just sit there and go, wait a minute, this is just this. And then people, you know, they sit there and they go, oh, you know, the government, you know, they got rid of all this information, and the government doesn't give a shit about this loser.
If they did, and it's a good for the bullshit. Any kind of holes that are in this story, because of the government's after you, so we can't say this, or the government got rid of these type of documents, or where you were, or this evidence that would prove everything that you're talking about. Yeah, right. Sure. They'd get rid of one thing if this was true.
Yeah, to me, it was like people want to believe so badly. And what sucks, what I don't understand, what bothers me the most is Earth itself. Earth, if you take Earth itself, a butterfly is so beautiful. If you really look at it, you know, even a praying mantis or anything, birds, the clouds, there's, you know, I've never seen a blue whale, but I've seen them on TV and I go, oh, wow, this is just extraordinary. What incredible creatures. And then you go to the museum, you're like, all these creatures have gone extinct. There used to be dinosaurs. And then, but we don't look at that. We don't look at the beauty of our own Earth. We have to take, you know, some fool's bullshit story and go, oh, what a beautiful story, man. We're not, you mean these aliens are we're working together with these aliens and they want to help us out? Because have you not seen the world lately? If they're helping us out, please don't help anymore. You know, like, we don't need your help. You know what I mean? It's like that buddy that comes over to help you move and he keeps dropping shit. You just sit there and go, hey, dude, listen, I appreciate it. Just go home, you know?
Don't help. Yeah. You
know what I mean? So that's the thing that I don't get. Like what
well, so I mean, so I guess we don't have to go back and forth about this guy is clearly bullshitting. But why? So you're saying people buy this bullshit, right? But would you liken him to, I know you're in the magic field, right? I know your magic's a little more offbeat and more comedic, but would you equate him to a comedian? So if I go to a magic show, a David Copperfield show, I know that there's illusions, but he's not telling me they're illusions. He's telling me that he's doing magic, and the audience wants to believe that he's doing magic, right? So he's kind of selling, magicians sell bullshit, or these paranormal people who, everybody's selling some sort of bullshit that we kind of want to hear in a way or see.
Yeah, but it's like wrestling. Like, I think that the biggest problem with wrestling was, and I agreed with Bobby Heenan, See, when the Masked Magician came out, I don't know if you remember that show. This guy would come out and show how tricks were done.
Oh, I do remember that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he would show how a trick was done, and a lot of magicians were furious about that because we all
Mhm.
know the woman is not sawed in half. You know that.
Right.
If you believe that, then you need help. But if you think a person can make a dove actually appear out of their hand, you might as well walk on water, pal.
Sure.
And which there is a guy named Dynamo who did that. He walked on water, but it's a trick. And
Sure.
it looks super cool, but 99.9% of the people out there go, it's a trick.
Right.
But you don't have where you got like guys like wrestlers. Bobby Ian said something really that I remember when he said, once you start telling them all the tricks, why do they need to believe? Like, the only reason, when two guys in wrestling beat the crap out of each other, when I was a kid watching it, the only thing you believed was the characters were so real because these guys lived it, right? You believed the character because you said, this guy's a psychopath, so I'm not going to go up to him, I'm not going to bug him, because you know what I mean, he's scary. But when they come out, when they sit there and go, when Vince McMahon goes, no, everything's written, guys, we have writers. I almost wrote I could show you the letter. I nearly wrote for WWE as a writer for the show.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you the letter. So once you start saying we got writers, there's a staff, all this stuff, it takes away from the illusion. And I think for me, that's where I just stopped watching wrestling. Like I just said, to me, it's not fun anymore.
Bailed, but
I don't want to be told that this is fake. Like me and you are going to fight and we go out for drinks, but we got a match tomorrow night. I don't like that. I like the whole the illusion that we hate each other. And that's what that's what wrestlers did for the longest time. But
the best ones, the best magicians, the best wrestlers, the best con artists are the ones that can fucking sell it. And this guy's selling it. He's selling it to people. Maybe he's not selling it to you and me, but he's selling it. And his rap is really good. Let's say that. He's good at what
his
he
rap's
does.
terrible. Like
I know there's holes in his story and everything, but the way he comes across, he's very calm.
He wants
to say.
He like you saw him on Rogan, right? So whenever he gets asked a question, all of a sudden anything to do, he gets a headache, right?
Yeah, and you don't know and the guy that was on with him, I don't know who that guy was, but he kept going, you don't know how much stress he's under and everything else.
Yeah.
But the thing with the Rogan interview, not that Rogan's this intelligent guy or anything, but a Rogan interview, you can't cut, you can't edit like you can in a documentary when you're trying to sell this guy's bullshit. And any of these guys who were trying to sell his bullshit over the years and making these documentaries can't make them to be the bullshit artist. They have to make this real so people want to actually see this and there's some excitement. But Rogan kind of talked to him, and it wasn't like Rogan was calling him out on bullshit, but it kind of allowed the holes in his story to come out a little more than you would see in any of these documentaries.
Right. Well, like for me, Rogan, to me, I think Rogan is a big fan of him, right? I do. I think he's like, okay, wow, this guy worked on this stuff, and if you got a guy like Rogan on your side, you're doing okay because he's got millions upon millions of listeners. But what I don't like is how this Bob Lazar will not sit with an actual physicist.
Yeah, right? Because then he'd be done.
Yeah, and they keep talking about this element that he created, but scientists years before have said this is going to happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
That element, and there's a few elements, like in the past, what is it, 50 years, they've created 9 new elements.
And
Humans
they can
have done it.
predict what the next element will be based on the way
Yes,
things are going and everything else.
yeah.
Sure.
And that to me is where, see, people shortchange themselves. They just sit there and go, oh, we're too stupid. But this comes from alien technology. And it's
And you
like,
don't have to be a physicist to know that this is kind of bullshit.
well, I think you just got to give yourself a little more credit. Like you got to stop sitting there going, this is alien technology. You know that this is the whole putting your hand up against a door and having it open. That came from alien technology. I'm like, no, it didn't. It came from like the 1950s. A movie
Yeah,
did that. You know what I
sure.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
like are you? It's just fun.
Again,
It's just
going back to the aliens, for him to he claims he's sitting in this thing and they power it up. Think about a spacecraft, how much power and energy it needs to use just to take off from Earth, not travel across galaxies.
oh, but
That
see,
thing, if he turned that thing on, whatever it is, it would maybe make the Earth explode for that matter, not just him.
no, it's all
Like it's all
bullshit.
bullshit.
Like it's like, first of all, the spaceship, okay, is about this. It looks like, what is it, the size of a minivan? You know, like
Well, I thought he said 50 feet.
okay, okay, 50 feet. Okay, give him 100 feet. How about that? It's still,
Yeah.
it's like, come on, and then there's 9 ships. So let me get this straight. So the aliens would know that the Americans have 9 ships. What about the Russians and all these other? So we forget about them.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
That goes back to I don't believe that aliens, the odds of aliens coming here, not, I mean, whatever, aliens existing and everything within the time frame of the Earth, which is millions and millions of years, but they just happen to come here and land within the last 50 years, crash land to the point where they're leaving their 9 ships on American soil. Like it's all too perfect.
yeah,
And then the government gets these ships somehow, hides them from the public, gets them into these facilities, and then they hire 20 something year old Bob Lazar, who doesn't have any kind of degree, doesn't have any kind of schooling, strong schooling background. All he did was make some car, and they're going to hire him to investigate these things? No way.
yeah. Plus, and anytime you get in those type of jobs, they always do like um they test you out mentally, like how they did, like if you ever watch
Mm-hmm.
what the Apollo programs and the Mercury programs, what they put and this, we're talking over 50 years ago, what those guys went through psychologically, like
Right.
just to make sure, because if you're up in space and you lose it, because if
Yeah.
you're in a little capsule with another guy,
Yeah.
if all of a sudden you have a panic attack, it's over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I just don't buy the guy's story. I know people want to believe.
So I'm sorry.
Go on,
Do
go
you
on.
think that there's some truth? And that's what I was trying to think. Is there some truth to his story? Was he contracted? I know I remember Melanie mentioning he worked for some sort of photo development center or something like that. Was he contracted to do something in relation to nuclear testing? Like, is there some kind of evidence where he was in that area and he had something to do with something with the military? Is there anything like that he's going off of? Because a lot of times when you're telling a lie, it's good to kind of have a little bit of truth in there. So maybe he was contracted by the army to do something that wasn't as significant.
My understanding was that he worked for a guy that had a contract with whatever Lockerbie or whatever, I forget what it was called, but it wasn't like it was like, you know, you're just contracted out. They hire you along, and that's it. But it wasn't. Uh, uh, I mean, where is the evidence that um, you worked on these things that were like big deal? You talk about how how they, you know, how this gravitation works or whatever. Have you ever read Ray Bradbury? I mean, there's so many science fiction writers that come up with these great, amazing stories of how
Sure.
ships work or whatever. And I'm like, big deal. Like, okay, so he, you know, gravity, big, okay, he figured out that's the only way is
Yeah.
by getting a ship to get off without that much power is, you know, it needs, you know, use gravity. Hey, that's brilliant, but that's been, they've been talking about that for like 70 years. Okay. Like, honestly, they've been like, scientists have said
Sure.
that the only way, you know, it's just,
Yeah, we kind of know, and to do any kind of interstellar travel, you do have to bend the laws of gravity somehow,
yeah,
some
like
way.
they gave a guy once gave me a great example of, like, he said, okay, like to get, okay, if you're here on this, like okay, here's Earth, and here's Gaba Gaba, whatever the hell they want to call it, right? So if you're from Gaba Gaba and you want to get to Earth, it would take you 500 million years to go from light speed. So when they talk about warp speed, they're talking about bending time and space. So it goes like that.
Mhm.
Whoops. So it goes like that. So both, you know, so that's, but to me, it's like, yes, that's great. But again, that it right now is just science fiction, guys. Maybe one day it might
Yes.
be true, but for right now, it is science fiction. And for me to believe a guy that doesn't want any attention, that just constantly talks about, you know, like you got the guy that you were talking about, that Jeremy Corbell guy. He's a TV producer.
That's
So
what I'm saying. He
they're
was
all
selling the story.
they're all leeches. So it's like
Yeah,
me
you think
coming.
Jeremy Corbell was like, it would benefit him to tell a bullshit story and expose some guy for being a bullshit artist? No, no,
Well,
no, no,
well,
no.
now what you have to do now, if you want to watch the documentary, you have to purchase it, right? It's
Sure.
not on Netflix
Okay.
anymore. You have to purchase it, right? So they make money, right? And then his speaking engagements, and then I'm sure they're going to come up with some other idiotic
Yeah, does
show.
he have a website and stuff like that?
I don't know. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. If you know, click in
Or a
bullshit
book? Does he
artists,
have a book?
yeah, I believe he does. I believe he's got worse people have written. Let's see here.
But he's never published a book. That's surprising too, that a publishing company wouldn't approach him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he's written a book, Max, but um,
Hmm.
but you know what it is? All these guys, they're all on the History Channel. They're all, you know, they're all like, you know, you don't know the guy, but his name's Stan Friedman, and he's like he believes that you know, UFO, they have landed. He's believed all this stuff. He passed away a couple of years ago at Toronto Pearson International about, he had a heart attack. He didn't believe any of Bob Lazar's stuff because he's like, the stories, it just doesn't match up, Max. Okay. It's like me telling you some fantastic story. You just want proof, dude. You know,
Yeah.
you know, that's the bottom line. And I wish people would just go, like, one guy's like, oh, he has a beautiful story. And I'm like, everybody's got a beautiful story, you moron. What are you talking
Well,
about?
that's what I keep going back to though, Vito, wouldn't you give him at least some credit for selling this bullshit?
No, because extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. Okay.
Of course, but he's so good that you're talking about him. He's one of the better ones. If
No, I'm
this is
talking about
his
him
big con.
because if you type in uh uh Bob Lazar bullshit artist, nothing comes up. It's all like the
Okay.
only guy that went up against him, and I sent you a link to him, was that Dr. Grande guy, where
Yeah.
he's like psychologically, like he looks at how, like how people bullshit, or what they might be thinking, or
Right.
whatever. He doesn't believe any of it.
I thought his assessment was pretty thorough in the sense that he didn't, from what I remember, he said he didn't believe he was delusional in any way because he wasn't really making extravagant claims beyond that one.
Right.
And he also said the way his delivery and everything else seemed like very rational. Again, I think this Bob guy's just good.
Yeah, he's great. It's being a great bullshit artist.
Yes.
Some guys are better than others,
I mean,
like
he's top level, and a con artist is a genius in a way. I mean,
Max, there are so many, what is it, like a used car salesman at
sure.
trying to sell you a piece of shit. And I remember trying to get a job. The first place I went into as a car salesman, I went into Mercedes, and I said, I want to start selling Mercedes, and he's just like, the guy starts laughing. He's like, you have nothing, like, what have you sold? Like any other cars, like what Jaguars,
Right.
Porsches, or anything like that. And I go, no, Mercedes. And he goes, I love the way you think. But he goes, most people that come through this door already want to purchase the Mercedes. You know what I mean? So I don't need to
Sure.
bullshit them. I don't need to tell them that, this has this, it has this. They know, the name, it's got a strong name. But if you've got like a 2004 Ford Focus, and it's got 300,000 kilometers, you're doing everything in your power to tell the guy, hey man, this car is going to last you for years. It's, I mean, there's an art to it, to sell. And that's all it is. He's just selling a story. Okay.
But he's an artist.
But if you do not have any evidence to back that up, then I'm not taking your word for it, man. Sorry, I'm not.
Well, you shouldn't. But that makes him even more of an artist. That he has no credibility, he has no evidence, he has nothing to back him up, but he's still getting through to all these people who are believing him.
Because people want
it's a talent.
But Max, people,
I couldn't do it.
I know
you couldn't. I don't know. Maybe you could do it.
I could do it, no problem. I could bullshit like crazy, right? So, but I do have a conscience. You know what I mean? Like when people start giving you money, you start going, oh shit, people start, they really believe this. The problem, here's the thing. People, they want to believe. That's why shows like X-Files or anything extraterrestrial, why they're why people
the
like
whole science fiction genre.
Right. So this guy knew this, but it's snowballed. You understand? It's gone from, going to the desert in 1989 and showing people lights in the sky. And then all of a sudden, I work there. And then, oh yeah, my schooling, that's all gone. And the story just constantly, it gets worse and worse, or better, but then there's just so many holes that people do not look at the holes. They look over that, like you know what I mean? They're like, oh, that's the government. And here's the problem, Max. The way things are, people just don't trust the government, right?
No.
Most people,
again, you shouldn't.
Most people just don't trust the government, right?
Even in science fiction movies, usually the government comes in and they're Bob Lazar's government. They come in, we're covering all this up and this has never happened. And I mean, we're conditioned to believe his story just from science fiction.
Well, it's like,
and yes, I know, and people are untrusting of the government, of course. Yes.
but it's like this. Like I used to believe in the Loch Ness monster. Okay,
Mhm.
I when I was a kid, loved the Loch Ness monster. Was crazy about the Loch Ness monster. But the
Mhm.
more research I did about the Loch Ness monster, I was like, I would argue with people going, no, no, it's a creature in the lake, man. There's it's there's caves underneath. Do you not like people, this creature could go underneath and there's caves and then you find out that there's just not enough food to sustain an animal of that size. And you're going, okay, well, what
Oh
else? And
yeah.
then like then the guy comes out and he tells everybody that that famous photo was taken uh, using a little model submarine and some Play-Doh or something, right? So
Yeah, some bullshit. Yeah.
yeah, so the thing is, people want to believe, and then you get angry at yourself for believing it, and then now for me, when I think of Loch Ness, it's just this beautiful place that I hope one day to visit, but I know there's no monster in there. But
But is the
it, it,
monster,
it,
is the
it's
myth of it,
use your imagination. It's kind of like you want a
is it bad?
mystery. No, but like it's cool to use your imagination, and we all love a mystery, and we all think that Bob Lazar is the guy that's telling you the mystery, and that's what I don't like, because he's not. He's just bullshitting you.
But if you accept him on that level, it almost becomes not that malicious. It's
No, it
like
isn't.
Santa Claus.
It's malicious. It's very
How? Because
malicious.
he's profiting off it? Because he's
Yes,
giving
because
people a
he's
story, a
instead of,
myth?
because people literally take his word for it, and that's no
They
good.
should.
No,
They should. If
you
he
should.
came on Joe Rogan and said, "All right, Joe, I'm a bullshit artist. Here's my story." You shut it off after 30 seconds,
Yes,
right?
right. But the problem, it's like, here's the thing. Like, you heard about those flat earther people, right?
Yeah.
When I
Yeah,
was a
my
kid,
brother-in-law was a flat earther, as a matter
okay,
of fact.
so when I was a kid, if you told me the earth was flat, no one would even question that. But we live in a time where a few morons believe that the planet is flat, and that's no good. That's putting science back
But
instead of
Vito, you keep
forward.
saying that we live in a time where where humans are after each other, and we live in a time where people want to believe things that they hear in the media and this and that. But I think it's more of a human condition over
Yes,
humans all times. We don't
yeah,
live it. It's not specific to our time. Yes,
yes,
we have much more information that can be shoved in our head. That's bullshit. But I think humans, I mean, we just from our history, we know that we've always kind of wanted to believe in mystical things and paranormal things and people in the sky and the gods raining down on us. And it's a way for us to almost be more comfortable with our existence
yeah,
in a way.
but I don't like the whole thing of uh yes, if I sit there and I say, Max, I'm the guy that worked on this shit. I'm the guy that did all this. I saw some crazy things and blah blah blah. No, I'm not. To me, it's, dude, I need proof. I do believe that there are aliens out there, but I do not believe you worked with them. I do not believe you worked on spaceships. Okay, so you telling people without any proof, I'm not buying it, and that's what I like. I like what you're saying about we are conditioned to want to believe in unicorns. People 100 years ago believed in unicorns, right? And then here's the thing. You ask anybody now about unicorns, they go, no, there's no such thing as a unicorn. So, well, there is one. There's a goat in Scotland that's got a horn, but it's just a goat, but it's deformed. But
Well, when you're
anyway,
up by the Loch Ness, you can
yeah.
pop in on the
But
unicorn goat.
here's the thing. In 100 years from now, no one's gonna believe this guy's story, because 100 years, I mean, seriously, 100 years from now, a lot's going to change. Think about how cell phones, Max, you're a young man,
Right.
but
Yes.
cell phone, no, we had no cell phones. If you wanted to call your buddy, there'd be a window. Max.
How about what me and you are doing right now? That was on the Jetsons, right?
Yes.
Video chatting.
Yes, exactly. And think about that. That is in a short period of time. So add another 100 years to this, man. And they're just going to sit there and go, that guy from 100 years ago, that Bob Lazar guy, yeah, he was a bullshit artist. He told
A lot
some
of people do.
he just they're not going to believe, like, so much will come out,
I think there's a lot of people now that don't believe him.
No,
I think,
Max, there are
he
people,
has this following. Yeah, but you know that there's tons of lunatics out there who have followings. You said there's flat earthers, and there's people who watch wrestling and think it's real. My kids think Santa's real. I
good
should be
though,
quiet
that's great. That's good
because I
though.
sold them a story.
Yeah, but that's good though. That's a good thing to say that,
Is it?
it is. I think that's a
So
beautiful.
why isn't Bob Lazar having these people who are fascinated with Area 51 and Roswell, New Mexico, and everything else? Why isn't he a figure in their mythology
in
that he's just selling them a story?
in whose mythology?
He's selling them Santa Claus. We're all selling Santa Claus to somebody. I guess I'm just trying to take a bigger picture because we both believe this guy's a bullshit artist. But what does it say about the people who
here's the thing, Max. Your kids, when they get older, you don't need to tell them that Santa Claus is not real. All of a sudden,
I think I have after a few.
No, but listen, after they reach a certain age, hopefully they'll go, mom and dad have been buying me the gifts. It was never really Santa, but it was this beautiful feeling they had. You understand?
But just like you mentioned wrestling, like it was the feelings you had toward it, to the entertainment aspect of it was real. And the work that they were doing was real. So is there value in that?
Yes, there is value in that. But
so isn't there value in Bob, what he's selling to these alien freaks?
You grow out of it, Max. You grow out of it.
Like Melanie did.
And like you did, where you used your brain and said, this guy is full of shit. And that's what I wish people would do. Like, I just wish people would just go. We mentioned
physicists. You think there's a physicist out there that hears his story and goes, okay,
no, he won't allow physicists on with him, right?
So I think there's more doubters in this guy than there is believers.
No,
clearly.
I saw tons of videos of this guy, Max, and they were like, this woman, she's sitting there going, I know, the one guy, oh God, it's like the one guy is going, his story is so beautiful. And then this woman, she's sitting there going, yes, a few of my friends have worked with Bob, and they could confirm that actually
at happened. The whorehouse or at the army
at Los Alamos or whatever, and I'm just okay. I'm like, that's the problem, Max. Instead of wasting your time with some bullshit artist, go out and search for yourself. And that's why I wanted people to, like, that was really cool of you to watch the whole thing. And then you actually watch Dr. Grande talk about him, and you actually watch the Rogan interview. That was really cool. You took your time and you digested it. You didn't sit there and go, you came at me and go, Vito, you're all wrong. You're full of it. You actually looked at it, and at the end of it, you were like, the guy's full of shit. And I wish that's what people would do, man. Is it? I
think a lot of people do. I really do, Vito. I think a lot of people see this guy for who he is, and I think the nuts are going to pick up on something else. There's too much out there that they can.
Max, you don't understand the stupidity of humans. You're a young man.
That's what I'm saying. There's nuts out there. They're going to believe something. There's people who believe that Earth is flat. There's people that believe there's reptiles on the Earth. There's people who believe in all these wacky religions. There's people who, they all exist. He's just for that community.
Yeah.
And is that bad? I don't know.
I believe it's bad, because I think if you want to believe that there's life out there, don't believe in a bullshit story. Go out there and look. My dad has this cool telescope. Look at, go look at the stars, and believe. You could believe whatever you want. That's all I tell you. Believe whatever you want. But if I want to believe a story as crazy as what he has said, dude, I need more than just you telling me about the story. It's like, you remember the Bert Kirshner story of how that story was all made up. You even had
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with it, but yeah, I've heard that he's
well, what
telling some
happened was
bullshit story.
Bert told this story about getting so drunk with Tracy Morgan that Tracy Morgan got out of a bill by getting kicked out of this restaurant, getting physically thrown out, and Tracy Morgan standing up and then wiping himself off, and then just going to Bert and saying, see, that's how you get out of paying a bill. Here's the thing, though. When you go to Tracy Morgan was like, that shit never happened. But people love the story. You understand?
So what's wrong with it? It's a good story.
Because any idiot could make up that story, Max. We're getting to the point where
he did it, and he sold it good. I've never heard the story, not a fan, but he's selling it to people who like it. So what's wrong with that?
But Bert, Max. So the story goes that Jay Moore started using Bert's story. Do you understand?
Oh shit.
Yeah. So so he's on.
Oh man.
So Jay Moore starts saying it's him using that story, and he's on Opie and Anthony, and you have Tracy Morgan going, but that shit never happened, man.
Wow.
So what happens? This is the problem. It snowballs where you sit there and go,
right,
hey, there's no harm to this. There's no harm. I think there is harm, because if you're a kid or a person that wants to believe in something, you start digesting everything. And if you got something to sell, I'm going to buy it just like that, without question. Okay. I'm not going to question anything. I'm just going to buy. I'm just going to sit there and say, your word is your word. And that's no good.
And that's against the principles of science, the main principle, right? Always question.
Yeah. You question everything, man. So, with that being said, we both agree that Bob is a bullshit artist. So if you think that I just hate the guy out of just spite, I just think he's a great bullshit artist. That's all.
We'll have some respect for him then. That's all.
No, I don't. I don't
respect him for that.
No, I don't, because it's gone too far. It's gone too far, Max. So anyways, with that being said, any final thoughts? What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are that there's bullshit artists all over the place, and the good ones get the attention, and we should respect them for that. But we should always be leery of a silly story.
Right. And my thing is, there's bullshit artists out there, and some do a lot of damage. And I believe that a guy like a Bob Lazar does a lot of damage to people that are innocent, that have that want to believe, and they hitch their wagon to this guy. And there's so many beautiful things out there. You don't need this idiotic bullshit story. If you want to believe him, but please, at least don't do. All I say is just do your research. Don't take it from him. Take it from, if you can, please watch the 5 videos that I put up when I did the interview with Melanie, and she did so much digging on this guy that you, at the end of it, if you are still one of those, I'm a believer, I believe that Melanie is full of it, then okay, that's up to you. But me personally, I'm not buying the story, and I hope that you go out there and look at a story, break it down, and see if it's true. thank you for coming on, Max. You're always you always look better than me whenever we do these. It's just like, can't stand it. Absolutely hate it.
Vito, it's always a pleasure. Let's
Hey, man.
all look to the skies, because there's a lot out there to think about, and it'll make your head a little jumbled up. But
That's the
always look
thing.
to the sky,
Oh,
because it's
but
a beautiful thing too.
yeah, always look at the sky, but don't all I'm saying is don't hitch. There's so much beauty out there. I talked to Ben Ratzenberger, and
Oh, name dropper here.
well, a lot of people, he's a skeptic, and he just, to me, he goes out there and he goes and he checks out stuff like everything from Chupacabra to Mothman, anything paranormal. And he said something really cool to me that always stuck with me. He said, Vito, there's so much beauty in the world. Like right now, there's so much beauty, but we don't look at that. We have to believe there's a 9-foot monkey walking around in the woods that nobody could, take a picture of them, or all they could find is foot marks, instead of looking at the beauty of the world. The world is beautiful. It can be. There are some parts of it, that are absolutely tragic and it makes you want to cry. But there are some parts of it that are just beautiful. But that's what I hope.
That's a great final thought. Enjoy what we see, what we experience,
Right.
and anything else is just enjoy what you got. Right.
Yes. And don't fall for crap. But if you buy this egg off of me, I'm selling these babies for $800, $800 a piece. You shove this up your tailpipe and whoa, I'll tell you something. Have a good time.
I'll take 2.
So